Honorable Vice Chancellor, respected Honorable Director Sir, respected Registrar Sir, Finance Officer, Control of Examinations, Librarian, and other non-teaching staff, scholars, students. And today is a different day which we all supposed to remember. 14th August is declared as a day to observe the Partition Others Remembrance Day. 15th August is really happiest day for our nation because we got independence. And after independence, we have seen the country is growing and reaching greater heights under able leadership of our great leaders. However, the incident of partition we need to remember because it is left with lot of agony and sufferings and loss of many lives in our country. On this occasion, we all assemble here to remember the great citizens who sacrificed their life, and then we left with so that kind of the sad incident. Let us remember and then pray Almighty to give a peace for their soul. So we start this program.
Well friends, I don't think I will be restricting to few words because there is a lot to be conveyed, and the idea of a government to celebrate, I'm saying celebrate, the Horror Remembrance Day. The word celebration is the wrong word, but then we use it this way because we want to convey to our younger generations that what you have earned, it has not come to you on a platter. It has come to us after I will not say, I think extreme side of sacrifice. If you look at a tremendous amount of sacrifices that our forefathers have given, and after that this was given to us. And we celebrate on 15th August as our Independence Day. I do not know how many of you have seen the records. If you actually see the archives, there is nothing like Independence Day signed by our Britishers. The difference between Britishers and the other states who occupied other countries has always been, which is worldwide acknowledged. We don't, because of a different reason, that we were, for 200 years we were ruled by them. The philosophy of Britishers was that you loot as much as you can from a country and take it to England and build their empire, and this is what they did. Kohinoor is one example. The philosophy of other nations, particularly French, where we are now, French nationals, their philosophy was that to develop trade and commerce, so they were always focusing on ports. And this is evident from where we are. Mahe was a port, Karaikal was a port, Yanam was a port, Pondicherry has been a port, Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep. So they were focusing on port to bring prosperity to the area. Their aim was that we have more commerce, more business. The area will develop, we will also develop. If my business is bigger, larger, I develop and I help the area also to develop. Britishers go the other way. They say you loot as much as you can. Of course, we give a lot of credit to them that they set up educational institutions, hospitals, roads. They had inherent talent, I am not denying that. Many of our classic buildings have been designed by them. If you talk about American road network, if you have been to the United States, the 8 lanes highway which starts on both sides, and you travel throughout the country, it's a huge country. Throughout the country you can go signal free on those highways. All that was not designed by anybody else other than Britishers. So they have their contribution, but I am just comparing that what they had in mind and what others had in mind, and that is one of the reasons that French never tortured their territories, fellows. They encouraged them, they allowed them to flourish, and that is one of the major reasons that anybody which was under French ruling, they never wanted to separate. And that is on record till date. There is a place called Guadeloupe in Caribbean islands. Every 10 years they hold a referendum, you want to become an independent country, no. The percentage which says no is 95%. They are happy there. I don't know, if you see, you will be able to, it's as advanced as America. Reunion Island with them, and there are many French-speaking areas, they are very happy. But French said that if the drop becomes too big, it is very difficult to sustain, so it's better to part with. This is the philosophy which they granted independence to their many countries, and Britishers held on to them as much as they could, and we could get separated from them after a huge struggle. That's a story which all of you know, I will not get into the details of that. So this is where we struggled, we sacrificed, and we became independent. Now a question on independence, you might not have been knowing till date. There is no document where they would have signed. It's a clever move on their part that we are granting independence and we are leaving this place. Therefore, tomorrow onward India will be independent. There's nothing like that. No document. We celebrate, we do this because, well, we were able to force them out. But what is the document which is there in history is division of India. That document is there. We celebrate, we should celebrate division of India. But will we be celebrating our own division? We will not. What is this area which they divided? Some fellow was there and he says, well, I am going to do this. He had a pen which was very huge pen, thick nib, and he drew a line between India and China. And that line is so thick that actually when you transform into the geographical area, it runs into about 10 kilometers. So China says it is mine, he says it is mine, backbone line which we call it. There is a lot of disputed areas, and they did it because they wanted them to be always fighting. They always wanted them to never be at peace, and that's what we are finding now. McMahon line, we have still to sort out a lot of areas. And they deliberately left it this way so that they keep fighting. When we came down to India and Pakistan, there also they played the same politics. India never wanted to become this way. No leader was in favor other than Jinnah, who initially said we should be one. But subsequently, I will not get into the details because of time. But if you read, you will find subsequently he also changed his viewpoint, and that is how the two countries came into force. The principle that they had was that language, style, all that shall be kept in mind. But ultimately they backed out. They said, we want this much on this side, rivers they could not divide. So they got fed up. They said, this is the way I am going to do it. The result was Punjab got divided, rivers got divided, families got divided. This was the largest exodus that you can think of. 10 lakh people moved from this side to that side. How much suffering they had. Families were destroyed, women were raped, every kind of, you name an atrocity, it was there. So this is what Britishers did ultimately. We are celebrating, in fact it should be mourning day. We lost 20 lakhs of our brethren. Many became pauper, working. I own my own village. We were like kings there. When we came here, we had nothing other than maybe a box of clothes. My father was luckily in service, civil service. He was transferred here, fortunately, about 8 months before the partition. So he could settle in Jalandhar, and that is where in the small, good house which was given to him, he accommodated 65 members of a family who came from other side. They stayed on for good 2 years. After that, the land was allotted, and this is the way the people started settling. But there are many success stories, many torturous stories. Those who came, though very rich, they became paupers here, but they rebuilt themselves. Those who came here, one of the classic examples I tell my friends is that of Mahashali Hatti, MDH, which you buy these spices all over. That person came here and he says, rather than sitting and begging for food, I'll start doing something. He borrowed a trawler, horse-driven cart, started selling these in Delhi areas, and he started as a mason. He would go beg for some job and he would start putting bricks and started his living on 16th August 47. And gradually, by sheer dint of his hard work, he became one of the finest contractors of Delhi. And if you go to Delhi in an area called Chanakyapuri, go to any remarkable embassy building, you will find the plaque will read the contractor G.S. Nagin Company. So from that he became this, and he had 3 sons, all have fantastic construction business in India, in UAE and some European countries. This is the way these people came up. It's a story for our youngsters, for our young minds, that we are traditionally very industrious people. We are not to be cowed down by adverse circumstances, and we have a zeal to rise up after any kind of a torturous story. This is the way this came up. Now this Horror Remembrance Day is rightly celebrated, rightly marked as a day to be remembered year after year, primarily to tell our youngsters that it has not come to us as a platter, and whatever we have been through our own hard work. And if you look at these pictures and stories, they are heartrending. And if our friends will come to know, then only they will develop something which will be inborn in them, that yes, we have to continue to work the way they did it. That is what it is. That is why this needs to be celebrated, this needs to be remembered. And I think 10 years back, I remember when I was in Delhi University, I used to tell them that we do this flag hoisting, but we need to tell this also to the people, and we need to remind them. I am glad that government has finally woken up, and Prime Minister Modi has taken a lead in this. Rightly, he has written this. So the document that we have is our division document. There is nothing like independence document. So the division led to that side and this side. They talk about, you hear out all this these days also. This all is a culmination of that policy that Britishers had, divide and rule. And that divide and rule still continues. There are many sensitive areas where we have still not been able to come to our terms, and that divide and rule policy continues. I don't have time if there is a seminar ever in our university, because I am a science student, but then I have read a lot about this out of my curiosity. So this, if there is an occasion, I will be able to tell you that what is it that ultimately came to us, and that is ultimately how we have come out of this. It's when the country develops, we are now on our own footings, firm footings. We are telling the world what we are. But let me tell you, we are not only basking in the old glory that Britishers made our parliament, Britishers made Connaught Place. We have now started on our own, and Now our parliamentarians are going to be 782 in all. We have made another building where this can be done. We are not saying that they are the only ones who can make it. We are also equally capable. We are also equally capable of making everything, best of the dams, best of the bridges, best of the road. So our country is surging ahead, and we should be proud of the fact that we are one of those who came out of this Holocaust. We are the ones who suffered, but then we have come up. And let me tell you, a race which suffers, please mark my words, a race which passes through such difficulties, such torturous moments, is the one which is always a very strong race. Let me give you two examples, you will mark my words very emphatically. China has never faced this. They have never faced such a thing. They have large population, large area, that's about it. So whenever there is a scuffle, they don't stand, they run away. And this was there in Galvan. When they were there and our Indian soldiers were pushing them, they didn't have heart to stay on. They stood for a while and then they ran away from there. We have a love for a country. We'll stand by it. So they were pushing them and they would stand. America, which is a country which is not of any one racist country. It is a country of immigrants. So there are all kinds of characters in that country. But if somebody says, I am going to die for America, they only say. I am telling you, if it comes to standing in sun for 8 hours, they'll faint. I am telling you. They'll say, where is my air condition, where is my cola? But here if you tell our villagers, you have to stand here for 8 hours to do this, probably they will be there for 12 hours. That inborn quality that we have, we need to tell our young friends whom we teach that this is what you have, this is what you need to maintain, and this is what we need to be proud of. That is why this is important. We need to celebrate year after year. But unfortunately, and the regret that I have is I am addressing to some of my friends, most of whom would have read it, most of whom would have known. But what I am narrating is probably needed for our youngsters. So this is what we need to tell them in our classes, in our thoughts, wherever we get a chance. Some of these I was wondering after this, that in tomorrow's address we have some student, probably in about 10-20 minutes, I will be able to tell it to my young minds. They need to be conveyed. They are the ones who will be ultimately standing on these footings. So I am glad our government is doing it. Last year we did it. This year we have done it. We'll celebrate this year after year, and maybe more literature will come out of this on this subject. Many books have come out, many photographs are there, but there is a lot more. There are people who had undergone this horror. They are still living, fortunately. Some are 100 years plus also, they are there. They narrate, and now people have started recording their experiences. So this is what is required. I am glad we have also done the same thing. We have celebrated. And if you mark my word and you follow my suggestions, I am not saying advice, tell this to wherever you can, that we have come up in a very hard way, and therefore we need to keep this in our heart so that we become stronger and stronger. Thank you very much for giving me this chance. Apologize me because, as I said, last time I could not speak. I became too emotional. I do get emotional, but that's the nature. So pardon me for that, but otherwise we keep listening. Thank you very much. Salute those